When you finally walk away from a narcissist, your silence becomes a weight they cannot escape. They may laugh it off in public, pretending that you mean nothing, but inside their mind, the thought of you never fully leaves. Narcissists thrive on control and admiration, so when you remove yourself, it feels like losing oxygen. Even years later, they replay the day you left, twisting the memory into a story where you were ungrateful, just to protect their fragile ego. After a long separation, a narcissist doesn't think of you with love in the way normal people do. Instead, they think of you as property they lost. To them, you were a source of energy, attention, and validation. Without you, their mirror cracked. They wonder if you still think of them, if you compare others to them, if they still occupy a corner of your heart. That obsession is not affection. It's proof they never saw you as equal, only as supply. The narcissist's inner dialogue is a constant battle between pride and fear. On one hand, they say to themselves, "I don't need them. I was the best they ever had." On the other, there's a gnawing voice whispering, "What if they're happier without me? What if they forgot me completely?" This tension fuels their obsession. Even if you've been gone for years, they revisit the past, not because they miss you, but because losing you insults their inflated self-image. Deep down, narcissists always want to believe they left the deepest wound. They imagine you broken, replaying old memories, haunted by their absence. This fantasy keeps their ego intact. What they cannot stand is the truth, that you healed, grew, and maybe even found peace without them. To them, your joy is betrayal. They think, "How dare they smile without me?" Your growth is their greatest enemy, because it proves they were never as powerful as they believed. Even years after separation, narcissists often wonder if their name still lives in your conversations. They picture you telling friends about the pain they caused, or crying over what happened. To them, this means they still have power. They would rather be hated than forgotten, because being invisible terrifies them. Attention in any form, anger, sadness, even gossip, is proof they matter. Forgetting them is the one punishment they cannot endure, because it erases their illusion of importance. Narcissists convince themselves that time weakens you. They think eventually you will return, desperate for the crumbs of validation they once gave. They do not understand that real healing grows stronger with distance. To them, love is a transaction, not a bond. So when they see you flourish without them smiling, building a life, they feel shaken. Instead of respecting your resilience, they grow bitter, replaying the fantasy that you secretly long for the day they walk back into your life. In their mind, narcissists rewrite history to protect their pride. They tell themselves they were the one who walked away, that you were too difficult, too needy, or too ungrateful. This false story allows them to avoid the shame of being abandoned. Admitting that you left by choice threatens their very identity, so they create a script where they always had the final word. This illusion soothes them, even though the truth, your strength, keeps echoing louder than their lies. A narcissist may fantasize about re-entering your life with a dramatic gesture. They imagine sending a sudden message, posting something aimed at you, or appearing in places where they know you'll notice. In their thoughts, this isn't about reconnection, it's about proving they still have access. The idea of you moving on peacefully torments them. By plotting a return, they test if you still hold the door open. If you do, they'll step back in, not to love you but to reclaim control. Even from afar, narcissists feel entitled to updates about your life. They may quietly watch your social media, ask mutual contacts, or look for signs of how you're doing. Every photo of you smiling, every success you achieve, cuts them deeply. To them, your happiness without their presence is unacceptable. They think, they should be miserable without me. Yet the more you thrive, the more they realize the truth they cannot face. You never needed them at all. In moments of silence, a narcissist replays past arguments and scenarios, but instead of reflecting, they imagine how they should have won. They picture themselves saying the perfect words, leaving you speechless, proving once again that they were superior. These mental rehearsals are their way of rewriting the past. Even in memory, they want dominance. They cannot allow a story where you stood strong and walked away. so they reshape the narrative to preserve the illusion of control. After a long separation, narcissists often think of you in waves, sometimes with bitterness, other times with curiosity. They may wonder if you've forgiven them, not because they regret, but because forgiveness would mean they still hold space in your heart. To them, apologies are tools, not truths. They imagine you softening over time, waiting for a sign, while in reality your silence is your answer. This contradiction eats away at them more than they ever admit. A narcissist may even convince themselves that you secretly miss them. They interpret your absence of contact as proof that you're too emotional to reach out. In their twisted logic, silence is love, distance is desire, and no response means obsession. This delusion comforts them. It shields them from facing the reality that you've built a new life without them. What they cannot grasp is that silence often means freedom, not longing, and peace, not pain. When thinking of you now, narcissists often reduce the entire relationship to a game. They remember victories, not moments of tenderness. They recall how they pulled strings, not how you gave love. In their mind, you were a player they outsmarted, yet the fact that you walked away leaves a hole in their narrative. That single act of freedom ruins their claim of superiority, and so they obsess over rewriting the story to make themselves the winner once again. Narcissists often wonder about your new relationships. They picture you comparing others to them, assuming no one could ever measure up. If you're happy with someone else, they tell themselves it's fake, a cover-up to mask your longing for them. They cannot comprehend that love can exist without control, or that intimacy thrives in respect, not manipulation. Your new happiness, whether real or imagined, sparks jealousy and fuels their inner rage, because it proves they were replaceable. In their thoughts, narcissists sometimes plan revenge, not always in dramatic ways, but subtle ones. They may dream of returning to flaunt success, a new partner, or money, just to spark jealousy in you. They crave the image of you regretting your choice, even if you don't. These revenge fantasies are not about moving forward, but about dragging you back into their orbit. It shows how even years later their mind is chained to the power they lost. The narcissist's pride won't let them admit it, but they think of you when they're lonely. In the quiet of the night, when distractions fade, memories resurface, yet they don't remember love, they remember control. They think of how easily they once manipulated your emotions, how quickly they could switch your mood. These memories are trophies in their mind, proof of their supposed superiority. What they cannot see is that their obsession reveals their own emptiness. Even if they pretend to move on, narcissists often choose new partners who resemble you. It could be your kindness, your energy, or even your physical appearance. To them, replacing you is easier than forgetting you. But these replacements never satisfy, because what they crave isn't love, it's ownership. They search for someone who will play the same role, only to realize no one mirrors the exact reflection they lost when you walked away with your freedom intact. Years later, a narcissist may think of you as their greatest what if. They might wonder how life would be if you had stayed. But this thought isn't rooted in love. It's rooted in loss of control. To them, you were a chapter they didn't finish, a supply they couldn't drain fully. Instead of cherishing memories, they brood over their lack of dominance. You remain a question mark in their ego, not a memory in their heart, and that unsettles them deeply. When they think about you now, narcissists often compare themselves to you in secret. If you succeed, they feel threatened. If you look healthy, they feel replaced. If you're quiet, they assume you're suffering. No matter what, they twist the story to keep themselves on top. This constant comparison shows how much you still live rent-free in their head. Ironically, the very person they dismissed as weak becomes the shadow they can't escape, even after years of silence. Some narcissists even imagine a dramatic reunion, where you fall into their arms again, overwhelmed by old emotions. They fantasize about you breaking the silence, admitting you were wrong, or begging for another chance. In these daydreams, they reclaim control and erase the humiliation of your departure. These scenarios may never happen, but in their mind, they are rehearsed like scripts. It's proof that even after all this time, you remain their unfinished performance. Even after years, narcissists often measure their worth through the people they once controlled. That means you. They wonder if their absence left you weaker or stronger. If you're thriving, they feel mocked. If you're quiet, they assume you're suffering. Every possible outcome runs through their head, but none bring them peace. The fact that you exist beyond their grasp, living freely, is a wound they never fully heal from, no matter how much they deny it. When narcissists think of you now, they cling to illusions of superiority. They might brag to others that you were obsessed with them, painting a false picture of the past. This performance isn't for you, it's for themselves. By exaggerating their importance, they numb the sting of your absence, yet deep down they know the truth. Every lie they tell about you is a bandage over the reality that you were strong enough to walk away and never look back. They may also wonder if you'll ever slip. They wait for signs of weakness, a post that hints at loneliness, or a rumor about struggles. In their mind, any crack in your strength means an opening for them to return. Narcissists thrive on timing, watching from afar, waiting for the right moment to reinsert themselves. But what they fail to realize is that your silence isn't weakness, it's resilience, and every day you don't reach out proves you've grown stronger. Sometimes, narcissists think of you with twisted admiration. They may resent you, but they also envy the courage it took to leave. To them, detachment is foreign. They can't imagine walking away from a source of validation. So, while they won't admit it, a part of them studies your strength like a mystery. That mix of hate and admiration keeps you alive in their thoughts. You became the one thing they couldn't fully control, and that haunts them. In their imagination, narcissists often play out scenarios where you regret everything. They picture you sitting alone, staring at your phone, wishing you could reach out. They imagine you feeling guilty, questioning whether you made a mistake. These fantasies soothe their insecurity, but the truth is, regret belongs to them, not you. Every time they revisit the past, they confront a simple reality. They lost someone who truly cared, and they pushed you away with their own arrogance. Over time, narcissists may convince themselves that you'll eventually forgive and forget. They rely on human compassion, assuming your heart will soften. They think you'll brush away the past and welcome them back. What they don't understand is that true healing isn't forgetting. It's remembering clearly and choosing peace anyway. Forgiveness doesn't mean return, and compassion doesn't mean access. This truth unsettles them because it strips away their last hope of ever reclaiming you. Even if they seem successful now, narcissists often feel hollow when they think of you. New relationships, achievements, or material wealth don't erase the emptiness you left behind. They may show off to the world, but when the lights go out, memories of you return, not as love, but as loss of supply. They miss the reflection of themselves they once saw in your eyes. Without it, every new victory feels strangely incomplete, like applause in an empty room. When narcissists think of you now, they sometimes reframe your strength as coldness. They tell themselves you were heartless, that you never truly cared. This lie shields them from shame, because admitting you loved deeply and still chose to leave would destroy their illusion of superiority. By painting you as uncaring, they avoid facing the truth that your choice was courage, not cruelty. This twisted narrative allows them to escape accountability while keeping your memory alive in their mind. Narcissists may also use your absence as fuel for new manipulation. They compare new partners to you, saying things like, "You're better than my ex," or "at least you don't do what they did." But these comparisons reveal the truth. You're still in their head. They drag your shadow into new relationships, not because they value you, but because they need someone else to measure against you. Ironically, by trying to erase you, they keep you alive in every interaction. After a long separation, narcissists think about unfinished business. They remember small arguments, unsent messages, or words left hanging in the air. To them, closure is unbearable, because closure means an ending. So they leave the story open in their mind, replaying scenes like a cliffhanger. This way, you remain part of their world, even if you've moved on. Your silence is interpreted not as distance, but as suspense. And in that illusion, they keep you trapped forever. Narcissists often wonder what you tell others about them. They picture you retelling the story, exposing their behavior, and painting them as the villain. The idea terrifies them, because reputation matters more than reality. Yet at the same time, they crave the thought of being discussed, even in a negative way. Attention is attention. In their twisted world, they would rather be remembered as cruel than forgotten entirely, because obscurity is the one truth they cannot survive. They also wonder if you check on them. They imagine you scrolling through their profiles, searching for updates, maybe even secretly missing them. This fantasy reassures them, feeding the belief that they remain unforgettable. What they cannot accept is that your silence often means disinterest, not obsession. They confuse healing with longing, thinking absence equals pain. In reality, every day you don't look back is proof of your strength, and to them that truth feels unbearable. Sometimes, narcissists think of you with anger so sharp it surprises even them. They replay the moment you walked away and feel humiliated. That humiliation festers into rage, the kind they mask behind fake smiles. They may lash out at others, pick unnecessary fights, or seek new targets to dominate. But deep down, the source of their fury is you, the one who broke their illusion of control. Your freedom exposed their weakness, and it still burns years later. In quieter moments, though, they may slip into nostalgia. They recall the good times, the laughter, the intimacy, but only through the lens of ownership. They don't miss you as a person. They miss the way you once made them feel superior. The warmth they remember is not about love, but about supply. This nostalgia is dangerous because it convinces them they loved you when in truth, they only loved what they could take from you without ever giving back. After years apart, narcissists often rewrite the breakup as if it never really happened. In their mind, time apart is just a pause, not an ending. They imagine you as a book they can pick back up whenever they want. This belief gives them comfort, shielding them from the reality that you've closed the chapter for good. They live in denial, convincing themselves that no matter how much time passes, you'll always be available for their return. A narcissist may even think about how to punish you for leaving. They fantasize about showing up with someone new, flaunting success, or spreading lies to mutual friends. These imagined victories give them temporary relief, but deep inside, they know the truth. If they had truly won, they wouldn't still be thinking of you. Every revenge fantasy is proof of the power you still hold, because real freedom wouldn't require rehearsed performances. Their obsession is the ultimate confession. Narcissists also wonder if you've forgotten the small details about them. They like to imagine you remembering their favorite food, their habits, their quirks. They believe these memories keep them alive in your mind. What they don't realize is that remembering doesn't mean longing. You can recall details without craving the person. To them, memory equals attachment, but in reality, memory can also be wisdom, a reminder of what you endured and why you'll never return. Sometimes, narcissists wonder if they should have treated you better, but even this thought is self-serving. They don't regret the harm they caused. They regret losing their source of supply. They may think, if only I had played it smarter, they'd still be here. This isn't remorse, it's calculation. It proves they still don't see you as human, but as an object they mishandled. Their so-called regret is just another form of longing for control, not love. They may also imagine you secretly watching them succeed. If they land a new job, buy a car, or show off online, they tell themselves you're jealous. This belief fuels their vanity. Yet, they also know each display is a performance aimed at you, even if you're not watching. Every photo, every post, every boast is secretly crafted to reach your eyes. It reveals their truth. Even their victories feel empty, unless they believe you're still paying attention. Years later, narcissists think of you as both a loss and a threat. A loss, because they no longer have access to your attention. A threat, because your silence speaks louder than their words. They know you could expose them, even unintentionally, just by living free. Your happiness undermines their narrative, so they keep you alive in their mind as both enemy and prize, despising your strength while longing for your return. That contradiction is the cage they never escape. In their thoughts, narcissists sometimes wonder if destiny will bring you back together. They imagine random encounters, chance meetings, or circumstances that pull you into their orbit again. This fantasy isn't romantic, it's control disguised as fate. They believe life owes them another chance to reclaim what they lost. But deep down, they know the truth. Destiny already spoke when you chose freedom. That decision remains louder than any imagined reunion they play inside their mind. Narcissists also question why you never broke. They remember how they pushed, manipulated, and tested you, yet somehow you didn't collapse. This thought unsettles them because it proves their tactics weren't as powerful as they believed. In their mind, people are supposed to bend under pressure, but you didn't. You walked away. That single act of strength replays in their memory like an open wound, reminding them that for once, someone refused to live under their control. Sometimes, they frame you as the villain in their story. To protect their ego, they tell themselves you were ungrateful, cruel, or even toxic. This mental trick absolves them of guilt while allowing them to hold on to their pride. Yet, no matter how many times they rewrite the script, the ending doesn't change. You're gone, and they didn't get the final word. That truth gnaws at them, because narcissists crave control over every narrative, especially the one about you. Even in new relationships, narcissists think of you. They test new partners against your reactions, wondering if they can provoke the same emotions. They may say things like, "My ex used to do this," as a way of comparing, but really, it's about keeping your ghost alive. Your presence lingers in their mind not because of love, but because you were the one they couldn't fully destroy. Every new partner reminds them of what they lost when you walked away. Over the years, narcissists also wonder if they'll ever forget you. The irony is, the more they try to erase you, the deeper you remain etched in their memory. They can replace, distract, and pretend, but the imprint of your absence doesn't fade. They think forgetting you would free them, yet they can't. The very idea of someone living happily without them becomes a permanent scar on their pride, one they'll carry long after you've found peace. They may also imagine confronting you one day, not with love, but with arrogance. In their fantasy, they appear stronger, richer, or more desirable, proving they won in the end. This imagined confrontation is their way of undoing the humiliation of your silence. But the reality is, these fantasies only reveal their obsession. If they had truly moved on, your name wouldn't still fuel their daydreams. Their need to prove victory shows they're still trapped in defeat. When narcissists think of you now, they sometimes feel envy of your healing. They expected you to crumble without them, but instead, you grew brighter. This unsettles them, because your resilience proves their illusion of control was false. Instead of celebrating your progress, they stew in bitterness, trapped in comparisons. Your happiness feels like betrayal, because it reveals the truth they avoid. Their power was never real, and the freedom you claimed was always yours to keep. At times, they may fantasize about reaching out with an apology, but even this thought isn't genuine remorse. It's strategy. They imagine you softening, welcoming them back, and restoring the dynamic they miss. In their mind, apologies are weapons, not healing. They don't want to rebuild. They want to reclaim. That's why, even if they say sorry, it's rarely about you. It's about securing supply once more, proving they can still walk back into your life at will. Narcissists often think of you when their lives feel empty. In those moments, they look back, not at the love they gave, but at the validation you once provided. They realize that no matter how much they seek, they rarely find that same reflection. You gave what others couldn't: empathy, patience, and genuine care. That memory lingers, not because they value it, but because they know they squandered it, and now it's something they cannot get back again. In the end, when a narcissist thinks of you after a long separation, their thoughts are a storm of pride, envy, regret, and obsession. They don't miss you in the way healthy people miss someone. They miss the control, the admiration, the reflection of themselves you once gave. And though they may pretend otherwise, you remain unforgettable, not because of who they are, but because of who you became when you left. Your freedom is their lasting reminder of defeat.